Hello, my name is Michael Seitz. For the next few minutes, we'll be talking about the Touch and Seal Mind Foam Ventilation Control System. Some of those topics will include assembly, safety, regulations, storage, temperature considerations, and warehousing. We hope that you will find this information helpful in the successful use of the Touch and Seal Mind Foam Ventilation Control System. This is the Touch and Seal Mind Foam two-component system. Some features and benefits of the package are a triple wall, heavy-duty, wax-coated carton that is highly water resistant, and a great benefit particularly in wet mines and where you have exposure to a lot of water and moisture. This is a two-component system with an A and B canister inside. It is fire retardant, and it meets or exceeds all MSHA specifications and standards. On the left side of the carton, we list a number of features and benefits of the carton that you'll find very helpful. And on the back of the carton, we list the MSHA requirements for Mind Foam sealant, appropriate safety cautions. This label here clearly shows the expiration date of the product and gives you an idea how fresh it is, as well as a table of contents and product warranty. Open up the carton, and it's best to have the rear facing. Open up by cutting the tape. Pull out the tab. Pull all the flaps out. And this is what is inside the unit. A complete 10-foot hose and gun kit assembled for spraying. Carefully lay that aside, making sure that the brass fittings do not have dirt in them, do not become contaminated in any way. You will also find in it an accessory bag. The accessory pack contains a pair of latex gloves, although you may prefer to use your own mining gloves, a Mind Foam sticker for attachment to your helmet, a wrench for attaching the brass couplings on the hose kit directly to the canisters, a packet of lubricant for the O-ring on the barrel of the gun, and 10 mixing spray nozzles. Also within the carton, you will find a complete material safety data sheet that you or your safety department may like to have. Also inside each unit is a 4-page operating manual designed to cover everything that we're talking about, as well as several other subjects which would be helpful to you. The first step is to put on your safety glasses and then put on a pair of gloves. And I'm putting on the latex gloves that are supplied in the accessory pack. Now the guns do come pre-lubricated, but as a safety factor I like to put a little bit of extra lubrication on them just to make sure in case it's melted off in transit or something. Carefully put the lubrication back into the bag and then cover that lubrication and O-ring with the nozzle. Then I will also take out my wrench for tightening the brass fittings to the canister. Now we're going to assemble the P2 hose kit to the canisters themselves. You notice that this hose hole is labeled white hose and this hole is labeled red striped hose. Put the white hose through the white hole onto the white canister and hand tighten as far as possible. Take the red striped hose, put it through the red striped hole, labeled hole, attach it to the red canister and hand tighten it as much as possible. Then finish tightening the brass connection to the canister using the supplied wrench anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 turn on both the red and white canisters. The next step is to make sure that your gun safety is locked. Now pushing this black safety in, your trigger cannot be pulled and you cannot accidentally spray yourself or someone else. The next step then is to turn on the canisters, turn each one of these counterclockwise until you meet some resistance, and chemicals instantly begin to flow through the hoses. The next step is to close the box up so that you can carry it with you and use the material. Close this flap first. Secondly, lay over the two end flaps as labeled. And then finally, close the last flap and put in the tab. Now your box is ready to carry with the heavy-duty handle. The next step now is to prepare the gun and hose assembly for usage. It's very important that you purge the gun and the hoses of any gas or air that is in them so that you get an equal mixture of A and B liquid. Always making sure, again, that the safety is locked. And if you'll see, there is no dark chemical in any of these hoses for about the first 2 or more feet. The next step is to always make sure your safety is locked. Carefully remove the mixing nozzle, and then noticing that there are 2 openings that the chemicals will come out of, the next step you'll do is unlock the gun, pull back the trigger, and continue to spray into a safe area, as we're about to do, until 2 roughly equal streams of liquid come out. First, unlock your gun on the safety of the gun, and then spraying in a straight area, pull the trigger all the way back until you get 2 roughly equal streams of liquid. Now you have 2 roughly equal streams of liquid. After purging the gun, make sure your safety is on. Make sure that the front barrel of the gun is clean. And then carefully reinstall a clean, unused, new nozzle. And as you can see, there's no gas, only chemicals in both of the hoses. Now we're ready to apply the mine foam. Touch and Seal mine foam can be applied to virtually any type of surface needing air sealing or space filling in an underground coal mine. This would include concrete surfaces, concrete block, all types of stoppings and overcasts, both metal and wood. Now we're unlocking the gun, removing the safety, and we're going to be showing you a typical application where we would spray a concrete block stopping where it interfaces with the rib of the coal seam. You'll notice that I'm going to be applying thin multiple coatings rather than one large coating. This will allow us to obtain the maximum yield out of a container. Now remember, this foam expands, and you can see how easy it is to fill up a large area with a couple layers of foam rather than one large layer. Now remember, MSHA requires that the distance of the applicator from the surface being sealed can be no more than 24 inches. Another advantage of the P2 applicating gun is that you can meter the foam and apply very small or very large beads of material at one time. Where this is helpful, for example, is in repairing a fractured or cracked block wall or a stopping that only needs a little bit amount of material for repair. The advantage of this is that your unit then can be extended and used over a much larger area and over a longer time. We're only applying a very small bead, as you can see, that is properly air sealing the block. And here are some more examples of the spraying control possible with this system. Whenever you pick up a gun that has a nozzle on it, always check the nozzle to see if there's hardened material in it. If there's hardened material in the nozzle, if you were to spray the gun, then you might clog the gun and render it useless. So never assume that an existing nozzle on the gun is a good nozzle. Always check it. And before you continue spraying, if you've stopped for more than 30 seconds, always repurge the gun. Make sure there are 2 approximately equal streams of chemical coming out of it, relubricate the O-ring, and then put on a new nozzle. And then you're ready to go. If you find that no chemical or foam is coming out of the nozzle of the gun, you may have a clogged gun. The way to see if you have a clogged gun is remove the existing nozzle, spray the gun into an area away from your body and away from your face. If 2 streams of liquid do not come out, you have a clogged gun. If you have considerable chemicals left in the foam kit and you want to continue using that kit, then you will be required to replace the gun and hose assembly. The first step would be to turn off the gun, open up the kit, turn off all the valves, get the wrench that was supplied with the unit out of the accessory pack, obtain a pair of pliers or channel locks, and kink the hose. The reason why we do this and hold it down with your channel locks or your pliers is because there is considerable pressure in these hoses and there's considerable chemicals in these hoses. And if you were just to attach the hose from the canister, chemical would spray out everywhere. It would get on the canisters, it would get on your clothes, it might get in your face. So always wear your safety glasses and always use this procedure of locking off the hose with a pair of channel locks. Then remove the hose, and very carefully after you remove the hose, take the end of the hose and point it away from you and then release the pressure on the channel locks, and the chemicals then will flow away from you. And perform the same procedure then on the next hose by kinking them, locking them off with a pair of channel locks or pliers, removing the hose, pointing the free end of the hose away from your body, away from anyone else, and then releasing the pressure, allowing the chemicals to flow somewhere else. Gather up your hose and dispose of it according to your company requirements. As with all self-contained, self-pressurized 2-component polyurethane units, you're dealing with an industrial chemical. It's very important to be properly prepared. You should always wear safety glasses, gloves, and appropriate clothing for the work you're trying to do. This foam should also be used in accordance with MSHA ventilation regulations. The Touch and Seal Mine foam ventilation package is designed to be used upright. So if you operate on an unlevel surface, you may not get all of the material out of the canister. So for full 200 board foot usage, always keep the box as level as possible. All polyurethane systems are very temperature sensitive, and so it is very important that you keep the chemical contents at approximately 70 degrees Fahrenheit. When you go underground into a coal mine, you may run into temperatures that are much, much colder, especially in wintertime. So it is very important that you pay attention to the quality of the foam that you are producing, as well as the temperature of the canisters. If you are in extreme cold weather and the quality of your foam is not as good as you'd like it to be, our best recommendation is to stop and obtain a fresh, warm unit. In preparing a unit like this for long-term storage, our best recommendation is to make sure that you've turned off all the valves inside the canister, replace your accessory package with all your extra tips and nozzles, wrench, and lubrication, remove the nozzle, make sure that you've cleaned the nozzle by rubbing it on your pants or an abrasive surface or on the box so that the 2 openings are clean. Then replace it with a clean, fresh nozzle. And make sure that the gun is locked off. All units should be stored above ground in an approved storage facility, typically a warehouse. If you are storing any self-contained, self-pressurized polyurethane spray foam for more than a week at a time, you should remove the nozzle, open up both of the canisters so that fluid is flowing, unlock the gun, and then spray the gun into a container such as a cardboard box or a waste area, and until you get 2 roughly equal streams flowing. Over a period of time, propellant will leave the hoses and the material may become very sludgy. And so it is very important that every week you spray and purge the hoses for a few seconds to keep fresh material in the hoses. That way your kit will last indefinitely with only a minimal loss of material.